see society, you pick up all sorts of things, not just that, all sorts of things that makes you feel not content. Not content. You feel like you feel guilty. Basically, it's all made up pressure. It's all made up pressure. Now, for me, I'm the type of person, I don't mind pressure, as long as it's real pressure, not made up. You understand? Yeah. Like made up is like you learn all this. You learn all this. Your life should be how it should fit some image in society, and it's kind of hard to ignore it. It's really hard to ignore it, because we're talking about not just strangers. We're talking about close friends and families. I remember, I shared in the past. I share again, my two best friends from school, many years ago. When, really the beginning, early years of my spiritual journey, I was touring, really the first year type of thing. I was touring with my master. And so I came back to Australia, a few months work and that, save up a bit of money and tour again. And so they, one of my best friends invited me to his birthday. It was simple, it's just like you go to a restaurant, me and two other best friends. There's three of us, It's cool. So go in and it's together, it's lovely, best friends. You don't see each other that much because I'm touring, this and that. So we're eating together and it's lovely, And when we finished eating, and one of my best friends said, maybe my next birthday you're going to come with a woman. And I said, see what happens. See what happens. It's like, I don't want to give a whole talk to my friend. But see what I said. It's more simple to just see what happens. Hopefully, see what happens. But really, in my being, what's wrong with being single? What's wrong with being single? What's wrong? Why hopefully come with a woman? You don't hear, hopefully you come next year by yourself again. You don't hear that. Hopefully. You don't hear that at all. Can you see what I mean? These kind of but you're not making this thing up. It's just first thing is inside you. This condition is inside you and inside others as well. And then they're reminding you that there's something wrong with you. Well, there's nothing wrong with me. There's nothing wrong with me. I'm happy. I'm happy, because they they're both married and I'm single. And so I've got a bit of catching up to do. I'm behind. I don't buy into that. I don't buy into that. I don't buy into that. In other words, I ignore that. But, see, I ignore that, but that thing doesn't want to ignore me. Being reminded from best friends even. You understand? You know? And families. Families. Now, I'll share another story. You know? Pressure from outside, you know? Close people. Your loved ones. I'm not talking about strangers. Strangers you can handle. I came back from my Master Sri tour. So I'm staying at my sister's house. And suddenly, my sister's friend, I'm not sure. Sometimes is it this lady or this girl? I'll say this lady. Probably 30 or something like that. 30. What do you call a girl or lady? Lady. Yeah. You call like woman. Thank you. This woman. Thank you. Thank you. So this woman comes over, and they're talking outside, talking on the table and all that. I'm in my room, and they're talking outside. I'm in my room. My sister said, "Come out and meet my friend," And there was a funny energy to it, so I said, "What for?" From this other room, I felt a funny energy. So I said, "What for?" She just wants to meet you, And then I said, "What for?" and then my sister said, "Look, to be honest with you, like she's interested in you." I said, "I've never met her. I don't know her. She doesn't know me. But she's just to talk, to get to know each other." And then, and I said to my sister, like, she said, I said to my sister, don't you feel sorry for the woman? I just said the woman. I said to the girl. I said to the girl. I said in English. I said, don't you feel sorry for that girl? If she marries me, that'll be disaster for her. That'll be absolute disaster. Because I don't care anything. I don't care anything. Like, I just love being peaceful. I don't care any society's expectations, anything. Anything. And I said, look, don't you have any compassion for the girl? Honestly, don't you have compassion for the girl? What is she going to do with me? And then my sister said, and then I said, my sister said, but she owns a pharmacy, I said, oh, she owns a pharmacy. What am I going to do with the pharmacy? And then she said, also her brother's a vegetarian. Her brother's also a vegetarian. Yeah, her brother's like you. Her brother's also a vegetarian. Like this, So you're similar. You're so similar. Like this. And I said, no. It's much better. It's much better that she finds someone that, that matches the image, that play that role, to play that role of a husband, and in the morning open up the front door of the pharmacy, the roller door up, because I don't care. I don't care. I'm not going to be opening any pharmacy door. I'm only interested in opening the door of hearts, not pharmacy. Like this. I didn't say it to my sister, otherwise she'll think I'm being egotistic. Anyway, what I'm trying to say is this. Look, I ignore that. I ignore all these, all these things. All these, but it doesn't ignore me. See, it doesn't ignore. Now, what I'm saying, I'm not saying being in relationship is a problem. That's not a problem at all. It is the expectation. It is expectation that's a problem. When someone has an expectation that they need to be in a relationship, and when they enter a relationship, that's when the problem will start. Because they put all the expectation, the image on another person. You understand? How that person should be. The person doesn't whisper as nice. I'm being silly, but all this expectation. Like this. So, we could ignore that. But you can't just ignore, You can't just ignore. It's easy to say ignore, See, you can't ignore things easily until there's self, the divine self in you. You adore. When you adore your being, then the outside you can ignore very easily. You understand? You understand? It's like you have a best friend at school or something, right? You have a best friend at school, like this, and suddenly, like they coming over your house, and you hang around a lot, and suddenly, if that person finds another best friend, suddenly they're not going to come around your house as much. They suddenly ignore you. That's just like a silly example in some ways. But you gotta learn to not solve any other problems in your life except the love of your being. The love of your being. And the love of your being comes from the love of peace. Because peace is really who we are. Peace. You gotta learn to love that. Don't worry about saving the world. Don't worry about meeting anybody's expectations. It doesn't mean I start. Because my sister, I was really just teasing her. I was really playing. I know what's happening. I was mucking around like this, like this. But my friends, I don't say anything. You work at being content and calm and content. In the calmness and content of your being, the arise out of that will be a flower of self-love. I'm telling you. You believe me? I'm telling you this is how it works. And when that self-love comes, it doesn't mean you suddenly you don't love everybody else and you're like above the world. And it's not that. Once that flower of self-love comes, you'll love everything else more. Everything else more. Yeah, so that's why the most practical bridge towards self-love is the love of peace. The love of peace. Like, peace, is not a word. It's not a word. Peace is a state. It's a state. And like this. You gotta cultivate the realness. The realness of peace. Like that. And all the other problems you don't have to solve. They just kind of disappear. Where are they? They all disappear. Because they're there, whatever the world is there, but you don't see that. You don't see that's problems anything. You don't have argument and this and that. You just understand. Like this. Yeah. So it's true. You do ignore. But how do you ignore? That's what you got to reflect on. It's not just, ignore, thank you, yes, that's the correct answer. No. Someone someone starts screaming at you, bloody idiot, this and that, Of course, they say ignore it. You do ignore it, but you go away and you get upset. You get upset. But how do you ignore? Totally. There's no disturbance, nothing. It's like the warm, hot air coming from Africa, coming to Europe and just hits you in the face, the hot air. You don't go, I hate you. It just passes and it's okay. Just like that. That's called ignoring. It's okay. Yeah. It's a process. It's a process of dedication. It's a process. It's a process of training, dedication, practice, honing the skill, fine-tuning, determination, battling. That means against your mind. It doesn't happen automatically. It's a process. It's courage and 1,000 reminders of what's the truth, what's important, and what to ignore.